Hello, I'm Bob Trout. I've got a story here that I think is big, really big, because it's bound to have a terrific impact on business. I'm talking about a new market, a big new market, millions upon millions of new prospects with $15 billion to spend. That's right, I said $15 billion. That's a lot of money, isn't it? The surprising thing is that it's a fresh market, still full of opportunities. It grew up so fast, got so big in a hurry, that few of us realize its scope. Now, these days, nobody's likely to pass up chances to sell. And yet right here in our own front yard, there's a neglected market. There's money waiting to be spent. To get the story of this market, to be able to tell you the secret of selling the Negro, we did a lot of digging. We talked to leading businessmen, to customers, and to salesmen. We went to Washington, D.C. We set up cameras and other key points around the nation. And out of this all, there emerged a story, the story of a new market. Yes, this is the market we're talking about, the new Negro family. Their name is Wells or Wilson, Smith or Brown or Alexander or Breen. They live in Chicago, in Atlanta or New York, in Detroit, St. Louis, Los Angeles, any one of 1,000 cities and towns. All over the country, families such as this are enjoying new prosperity. They have new interests, new standards of living, a buying power they've never enjoyed before. They're good prospects for practically all types of goods and services. All too often, though, they're overlooked prospects. Why? Because of some good, valid reason? No. They're overlooked because of mistaken ideas, because of out-of-date ideas about how the Negro lives and how he buys. The truth of the matter is that the Negro lives pretty much the same as other folks. He buys pretty much the same way, too. But just the same, a lot of old doubts and opinions keep cropping up over and over again.
I don't like to do business with Negroes. They're drifters. You can't keep track of them.
Yes, although a lot of people think that way, the truth is that 1 out of every 3 Negro families living in cities today owns its own home. That figure comes directly from the United States Bureau of Census.
Maybe so, but Negroes are poor credit risks.
Not more of a credit risk than any other group. Actually, the Negro homebuyer meets his payments faithfully, often more faithfully than other race groups in the same economic level. That's the information we got from people who ought to know, the National Association of Real Estate Boards.
Well, maybe, but I've always heard that Negroes buy shoddy, poor-quality merchandise.
No, it's just the other way around. According to leading researchers, in proportion to population and income, Negroes buy more quality products than any other comparable United States group. You see, there are a lot of confused notions about the Negro customer. But when you dig right down and find out about them, they just don't hold water. Negroes own homes. They meet their payments faithfully. They buy good brands of merchandise. So why let a lot of old-fashioned ideas hurt profits? Take a look at the real facts. Here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, some amazing facts and figures about this new market have been uncovered. For a first-hand report, we would like to take you directly to the United States Department of Commerce to hear this story from the Secretary of Commerce himself. Here is the Honorable Sinclair Weeks, the Secretary of Commerce of the United States.
In the Department of Commerce, we are constantly alert to trends that mean a healthier national economy, better business for the nation as a whole. Recently, we have been interested in a rising young market, one that represents a huge potential for goods and services. I'm referring to the new Negro market. The tremendous buying power of this group is backed, of course, by an increased earning power. The average Negro family's income is at a record high. In fact, since 1939, it has increased more than the average income of all other Americans. Just take a look at a few figures. An official Department of Commerce report shows that at least 1/3 of the Negroes living in cities earn from $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Today, the average Negro wage earner brings home a paycheck 4 times larger than the one he collected in 1939. As a whole, the Negro market has a total income of about $15 billion every year. And after taxes, Negro families still have many billions of dollars to spend. Here is a buying power that cannot help but have a tremendous effect on our national economy and on business prosperity in general. When the
I didn't marry an Asian woman. I married into an Asian family. There's no way you can claim to love black people, especially as a black man, knowing that only 1 out of every 4 black women will get married in her lifetime. We have the lowest female marriage rate in the country, 25%. That means 75% of black women will never, ever know what it feels like to be proposed to. And if you care about the black community, you got to care about saving the black family, because the family is the essential institution of a community. And the only way you can save a family is to build a family. You can only build a family with a black woman. Absolutely not. You cannot talk black and sleep white. And why would the original man want a member of the race that enslaved and dehumanized you to carry your seed? Why would I, after the rape and the lynching and the slavery and the Willie Lynch and the Jim Crow and the police brutality and the economic apartheid and the gentrification and the AIDS and the Ebola, the West Nile, the COVID, the genetics, the eugenics, why would I want to take my original seed, God's seed, and put it in a cave-dwelling organism? Why would I want to do that?
Go ahead. Yeah, we need to hear you, bro.
The mic is yours, Ace.
Yeah.
I want to incubate my son, my daughter, in the womb of the people who have destroyed my people in this world.
Now, let me say first, when I made this argument, I wasn't necessarily talking about white women, obviously. Now, I mean, there's other races out there. But,
And they hate you just as much.
But what I'm saying, all right, so you said yourself earlier that there are black people among us that are not for us.
True.
So with that being said, there are people of other races that are more for us than there are our people.
Describe for us, please.
When you go to protests for black rights and police brutality and stuff, and you see other races that are out there and there are black people that would never be caught out there. I mean,
Okay. So because an
I'm
Asian
just all right, go ahead.
or a Caucasian showed up for a George Floyd march,
Right.
that means they give a shit about black people.
I'm just saying.
Let me ask you this. According to the Pew Research, they said 1 in 5 protesters during the George Floyd protest was black.
Okay.
4 out of 5 were non-black.
Right.
At least 3 out of the 4 were white. So the George Floyd protests were mostly white people.
Okay.
If white people care that much about black
ain't
folks,
no changes.
why didn't that woman who got Emmett Till murdered, why was she never arrested?
Still,
If white people care that much about black
After the
life,
confession.
why all these police that's going around killing black folks are not being held accountable? If white people care that much about black life, why don't we see it in the political and economic realities of black people?
Facts.
You know why they showed up to the George Floyd March?
why?
To dissipate the power of black people and to redirect the focus of those marches. White people outnumber black people 5-1. So if you let them in, they automatically take control by virtue of their numbers and redirect it. And so Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic Party, turned the George Floyd March into a damn celebration for Joe Biden. Joe Biden votes in the Democratic Party. We got nothing out the march whatsoever because we let it get diluted.
Right.
You have to keep it all black. The minute you let white people in, because you can't control how many join. There's more of them than us here. You can't control how many join. So the minute you let them in, they now have the power to remake this into whatever they want. And because most Negroes who participated in the George Floyd March made it multicultural, every time we get on the microphone, this is not just about black people. I'm so tired of hearing that shit.
It is, though.
Everywhere
it is
you go,
about us.
it is about us.
Yes.
But if you notice, when it's about us, it can't be about us.
Yeah.
Can't just
See,
be
when the Mexicans shut down the highways in California, nobody tried to multiculturalize that. You understand me?
You're not welcome here.
Absolutely. This is our thing.
Yeah.
When the European Jews, this is our thing.
Yeah.
But soon when black people do it, we got to multiculturalize to do what? Kill the focus of it.
Holding hands.
Nobody
with
wants
everybody.
black
That
people to
shit
be
crazy.
free, and they damn sure don't want you to be equal, and they definitely don't want you to have more than they do.
So let me help my good brother out, right? So some of the talking points when I do have these conversations with other black men or black women is that, procreating is part of being pro-black, right? Procreating with another black person. So some people will say...
Before we get into that,
Okay.
what would be your description of a pro-black person?
I hate the term pro-black
Okay.
because I never heard of a pro-Mexican or pro-Jew. This is how messed up we are. Not you for saying pro-black, but for you to have to define a black person as pro-black. Do you know what that means?
Right.
That automatically means by contraindication that most black people are anti-black.
That's a fact.
Do you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
If I walk in and you say he's pro-black, because this is what people say when they see me, it'll be 1,000 blacks. He's pro-black. Do you know what you're saying about everybody else in here? They're fucking coons. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're the only people, we're the people who are for us are the minority. Think about that.
But I think
You have to describe people who care about black people as pro-black. No other group has to do that. And it speaks to how much most of us are anti ourselves.
I don't necessarily think that means you're anti-black, because usually when I think of the word pro, usually is the most extreme of something, right? This is why we have pro-life and everything else. When you put pro in front of something, that means the most extreme. I think people confuse being proud to be black with being pro-black. I think people are proud to be black.
I don't see how one could exist without the other.
What?
If I'm proud to be black, I'm pro-black. I'm for my people.
Yeah, but some people might say, like, when you look up the definition, it might say only supporting black-owned businesses or only to support
they go to
everything all
definition.
black. So when you say pro is the most extreme, I'm only buying from black people, I'm only reproducing, I'm only loving black people.
It will be impossible to only buy from black people because we don't manufacture and sell everything that somebody needs in order to survive. For me, pro-black means always putting the best interests of my people first in any situation or any decision that I have to make.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying? You ain't got to be you ain't got to be a black superhero. But I'm going to put my people's interests above anything else in front, above the church, above the mosque, and above other minority groups. My people come first. That's all it means to me. And you ain't got to be extreme with it. You understand me? So people see me, when I walk out on the streets, white people will stop and talk. Arabs will stop and talk. I got people who follow my work of every race, and I will respect them as human beings. But when it comes to the struggle, none of your interests matter before my own people, because my people's interests will never matter before yours.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. It's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Thinking about holding up for no sex, my man. If a girl, she having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condoms?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. They'll tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either. For LaDawn and Clorinda and Timothy, and many more like them in cities all over America, the traditional family no longer exists. It has vanished, and something new is taking its place. Single women and the children they're rearing alone are the fastest growing part of the black population. What becomes of the black family in a world where the values are being turned upside down?
If the parent is 17 and 18, uneducated, unmotivated, fooling around, wandering around, what's the child going to learn? Who's to teach him? When you learn something, you was taught by your parents. It was reinforced by school and your neighbors, but it was taught by your parents. Well, if the parents don't know anything, how are they going to teach the children? So it's not racism that I'm fighting right now. It's the lack of motivation. You see, I'm not even talking about racism. Maybe later on we'll get back to that. But I think we are destroying ourselves.
This portion of CBS Reports is sponsored by Sun Company. At Sun, we believe putting our energy back into the community is just as important as getting it out. Where there's sun, there's energy.
From all over the world, crude oil comes to this Sun Company refinery where we make
fast, effective relief for tough winter colds. Newark, New Jersey, one of America's inner cities. Inner city is a polite name for ghetto, as in black ghetto. Those of us who don't live in the ghetto are brought here usually by television and usually only when there are violent pictures to show. But we have to come here if you want to understand those fearsome statistics about the vanishing black family. Now, a lot of white families are in trouble too. Single-parent families are twice as common in America today as they were 20 years ago. But for the majority of white children, family still means a mother and a father. This is not true for most black children. For them, things are getting worse. Today, black teenagers have the highest pregnancy rate in the industrial world, and in the black inner city, practically no teenage mother gets married. That's no racist comment. What's happening goes far beyond race. Why then do so many teenage girls get pregnant and have children? Why do so many fathers abandon their families? The answers begin with the people here. They told us what happens to family when mothers are children, fathers don't count, and the street is the strongest school.
Good morning. Chuck over here, bobsleigh, standing by. We are going to check with you on one.
Okay. Okay, well.
It is the beginning of another school day in Newark, New Jersey. Another day of class for Clorinda Henderson. She is 17 and had hoped to graduate from high school next year, but that was before the birth of her baby.
I dreamed that having a little baby, you could just cuddle in your arms and just hug all the time. Kiss on it, smell it, because it's so sweet. I thought it'd be fun until I had her.
The reality's different?
The reality just punched me right in the eye. I had to pinch myself and see if I was here because I was like, this is too much.
Clorinda was only 15 when she got pregnant with her daughter, Shaquana. She is not unusual. Half of all black teenagers become pregnant. Clorinda has never been married. She's still living with her mother at home, where she's raising her baby daughter. Clorinda goes to a special school for dropouts after she takes her daughter to a daycare center. She has 5th grade math skills and reads at a 6th grade level.
When I got pregnant, I said, well, I'm going to have this baby, and she's not going to stand in the way of my education. I'm not going to let no one stand in the way of my education. I ain't going to be like these other girls, just drop out, can't get no job, no money, have to be on welfare.
Ready. On the vocabulary. Bingo.
Clorinda learned about birth control in sex education courses, but she still became pregnant.
You think it was a mistake?
Well, I'll say no, because I wasn't on any, birth control methods. Neither was he. And, we were sexually active, and what happened, it just happened.
When you think back to that day when you learned you were pregnant, what went through your mind?
Oh, gosh, I'm going to tell my mother. And I'm going to tell my mother she going to make me get an abortion. I was really scared, I think.
Why didn't you want to get an abortion?
Because I wanted his baby.
What did you like about him?
His legs.
His legs?
I got a thing for bow-legged boys.
Bow-legged boys?
I love them. They have some gorgeous legs. I just don't know.
Darren Lyle is the father of Clorinda's baby. He is 18 and lives in central Newark. He dropped out of high school when he was 16. He has never held a steady job.
I spend most of my time listening to the radio. I don't go to school, I don't work, I don't do nothing. Just like this killing time.
Did you want to have a baby?
Not really. It just happened. She just popped up pregnant. Nah, it just...
Were your friends impressed?
A lot of, everybody was telling me, that, she looked just like me, and, she is kind of cute, kind of pretty. That was like, make me feel good.
Sure. Do many of them have babies?
That seems like that's all they be doing if I ain't making babies and shit, making babies.
Darren told us that in this neighborhood, it's easy to get involved with girls and easy to get into trouble. Darren has been arrested 5 times for stealing, suspicion of homicide, and for possession of a deadly weapon. When you were arrested for carrying a dangerous weapon, what was it?
One of them big machetes.
Machete?
Knives and big knives.
You mean you just carried it around with you?
I used to bring it to school with me.
I mean, that's hard to conceal that, isn't it?
Nah, because I had like this blue coat. It was like a blue goose. I poked a hole in the pocket of it, and I used to put it right in there.
Isn't that dangerous?
That's the way stuff was going, like, that's the way the people was acting towards me. So I felt like I needed a weapon. Because, it just seemed like, it's like a war, really, like Vietnam.
Have you asked Darren to help you with the baby?
No, because I see he can't even help himself. He can't. It's pitiful to say that, but he can't.
He wasn't prepared to be a father?
No. And he still isn't.
Were you ready to be a mother?
Well, no. But now that I am, I just have to take it step by step.
She not tender-headed.
Clorinda relies on welfare to support Shaquana, but it's her mother, Gloria Henderson, who gets the check for the whole family. Gloria, 34, has never been married. She was a teenager when Clorinda was born, just as her own mother, Clorinda's grandmother, had been when Gloria was born.
Black women feel that their black men is not men anymore because they have lost their dignity. You know what I'm talking about? You take a black man, if he can't afford to go down to the store and buy a quart of milk, that makes a man feel like he's not no more man. If a black man come in and his wife feel that he can't go buy her a decent dress, that takes something from that man, just like you or anybody else would feel. Same way. But this is what the black people have to contend with. This takes some of the dignity from a man?
I had to help supplement my husband, Sarah. He didn't make enough money for us to get along on. And most of the time, he was out of a job. He was on unemployment. He couldn't get a job. He tried. He would go to various places, and because he didn't have the experience of, the various jobs that they had open, well, the white man wouldn't hire.
During those times that my mother had to work also to help my father. And times were pretty rough then because my mother would have to leave early in the morning, and she didn't come in until late in the evening, and my father likewise.
It took quite a deal of away from my children. It left my children alone. I wasn't able to pay a babysitter. My mother, she would come over sometime and look after the children, but she was sick half of the time, so she couldn't afford to come over. So that made me have to leave my children home alone.
She wasn't aware that I needed food to eat at school. I guess I don't know what it was, but anyway, she would leave me a nickel or a dime or something like this. So at lunchtime, I felt embarrassed because at that time in school, everybody had to sit down and eat, and then they would play, or either you ate in the cafeteria, one or the other. So with me not having any food at all, I would sit at the table and the kids would laugh at me. So to prevent this, I would go in the refrigerator and take out the hard butter, then put it on bread and wrap it up and put it in a bag and take it to school. And this at lunchtime I would unwrap and eat.
She would come home in the afternoon, no mother, no father, because we both were still at work. And as she grew up and become a young lady, she began to tell me how she missed me and how much she wanted me at home and how much she wished that I was able to stay home and do the things for her that a parent should do for their children. And that made me feel very bad.
I knew that they were having a hard time. I was always conscious of my mother and my father struggling, in order to have a better life.
If the white man would stop and realize and think that the black man feel the same about his wife as he feel about his, I think it would be a better understanding too. The black man don't want his wife to get up and go to work every morning and punch a time card right along with him. He wants his wife home just like the white man wants his wife at home.
Because a father represents the law in the home, and a mother represents love in the home. You take when a child come in and he's hurt or bruised or something, he goes to mama. But when he come in and he has a problem, he goes to daddy, because he thinks that daddy is the symbol of law. Daddy is a symbol. He comes to daddy because daddy can help him.
And I don't think it's good that a mother have to get out and work and leave her children at home. It makes bad children. It causes some children to go astray. It's too much freedom, whereas there's a girl in the home. It causes illegitimate pregnancy in the home from the girl. And just any number of things that it causes when a parent have to go out and leave her children at home by themselves.
I had quite a few girlfriends while I was going to school, in junior high and in high school. Get pregnant and have to drop out of school a few weeks or maybe a month before graduation, or either they get pregnant and don't even go back to school because once they have a baby, they feel that they're grown. Either they feel that they're grown or they feel that they don't have the time to get back to school and try to learn something.
Many young girls in our neighborhood get caught like that. I think it's because of the lack of understanding with the parents, a lack of security. They can't come to the parents and talk things over with them, and the parents don't take time to talk to them. So I think it's a lack of communication. They don't have a church background, or they don't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah, there were many reasons why girls became pregnant before they graduated. Family problems in the home, or either just getting with the wrong crowd and thinking that crowd was what was happening, and they in turn kept going out with this crowd until somebody would either go to jail or a girl would become pregnant. And whoever the father was, he was still in the crowd, so the crowd moves on. The girl is in turn left there with the child, and her mother then rejecting her because they're saying that she didn't really think.
And it all stems from one minor, which is a factor that shouldn't even be there, and that's unemployment of the father. And this, in turn, brings on all of this other, well, shall we say, disease or infection that inhabits the Negro community. This is all just from that the white man won't employ the Negro. And all he wants is a decent living, even if it's cleaning floors. He wants just to make an honest dollar, which is awfully hard to do.
Life on the streets for a black individual is entirely different from a white individual, because life on the street in the ghetto is always it can be very deadly, because there's certain things you have to be aware of. The main target of life on the street is money. This is the main target of life on the street. This is where your hustling more or less comes in, plays a big part, because you learn how to hustle at a young age, because there isn't too much money in the home. Hustling is a means of support, of making money, of getting what you want. There are no jobs. There ain't no job down here at all. So a man has to hustle. If a brother didn't hustle, he'd starve. If a brother's 24 years old and he's married, he has to hustle if there ain't no job. He got kids, he got bills to be paid, he's trying to make it, and there ain't no job. Now what does this white power structure expect him to do, He's got to make some money. That's all it is to it. See, even when you're at a young age, well, you learn how to do different things that'll get you money. It's not just going to a store or stealing or anything like that. That's not a hustle. Hustling can be shooting pool, it can be shooting dice, it can be playing cards, it can be pimping, man. You can hustle radios, you can hustle TVs, you can hustle soda water bottles.
Hey man, it's time to fix this shit, man. Yeah, I'm Blackjack. This House of Con. Salute, we out.